this is Professor Todd with Gracie Baja Oviedo. I have my Yuki Brett here with me. We are going to do some supplement training to the GB1. The lens that we're going to be looking through these techniques is a pure self-defense lens. So we're not incorporating our opponent to know any jujitsu. So this is not the techniques for fancy jujitsu. This is purely a self-defense to give you a clear-cut pathway of what we're trying to achieve in the best case scenario. All right, so Brett, what we're going to look at first is distance management. So the way I'm going to use my distance management is I'm going to use what we call a long guard. I'm just going to go ahead and bring that lead hand out. It can kind of be a shield for my opponent's vision, but the idea is I want to keep this distance. If my opponent reaches his arms out, I should be at that 2 arm length distance, which means he can't initiate a kick or a punch without moving forward first. So I want to keep this range. So we're going to walk forwards and backwards first to give you an example. So if my opponent is walking forwards, I want to be able to keep that same distance here. If he moves backwards, same thing. I keep that 2 arm lengths distance. So now I have an attacking opponent. I know how I should be moving. As my opponent moves forward, I don't want to get in the habit of continually walking backward. So as he steps towards us 3 times on our 3rd step, we are going to lower our level. We're going to make sure that we have a good connection with the mat on the back leg. And then as I come forward, I want to cover up the vital parts of that can knock me out. My chin, my temple, my ear. So from this position, my opponent's going to start moving forward. 1, 2, and on that 3rd, I'm planting the leg, my hands come up, I cover, and I crash into his chest. Now I'm going to take that step to the outside of his leg, and I'm going to be pummeling under, grabbing the waist, getting my control, and I'm going to go over top of this arm to prevent punches. I can either control them separately, or I can bring the hands together to control both at the same time. But the idea is I'm keeping him from being able to use these punches, even though we're in this short distance where he can't generate a lot of power. Okay, so we want to make sure we're over this arm. From this position, I've got my back foot set into position. Notice we're in a T formation with our legs. This keeps my opponent from being able to knee me. Once I have this, I'm going to be pulling those hips in. I want as much surface area contact as I can. So I'm connected to his hip, I'm connected to his ribs, I'm connected underneath his shoulder. From this position, I'm pulling his hips in, using my head to drive him in the opposite direction. So now I'm simply going to start taking some short choppy steps with this lead leg to square back up with my opponent, keeping his hips under control. I disengage my grips and I immediately go nice and low. I want nice wide base so my knees are spread apart and my hands are wide. Once I'm here, my opponent is probably going to try to throw me off. So we're just going to stay nice and low, keep the position. Once my opponent stops flailing, we now have the ability to posture up, start looking for strikes. My opponent doesn't have the power or the range to hit me from this position, but I have the ability to hit him from this position. Gravity is on my side. So even if those arms are flailing and we can't get that shot in, the idea is I can start pinning arms. Once I pin those arms, coming back up, in a position to end the fight or talk my way out.